I hate the word vibe coding. I absolutely despise it. Please forgive me that I just said it.
Friends, and welcome to a new episode of Merging Minds, the podcast brought to you by BureauWorks, the AI-powered TMS. 1 week again, one more time. Super excited to be bringing you a new person to come and share their industry and their life experience here with us today. If you're following us, you know that Merging Minds is about sharing the personal journey and the man behind the myth, or the woman behind the myth, the person behind the myth, right? Today, I'm honored and thrilled to have here with us the one and only Veronica Hylak. Hi, Veronica. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. We've been, I'm cracking up for the last half an hour with you, but doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Like we've been as you can imagine, friends, we've been preparing for the podcast a little bit, and we were talking. We were sharing lots of experience, and we have a very similar way of living. We're both nomads. I mean, I'm not so much, but we're both digital nomads. I guess we're about the same age, millennials, those people that still or don't have kids or don't want to have kids, and we're allowed to travel and to develop other things people don't do normally, right?
Yeah, I know. I did the digital nomad thing, like moving every month for about 2.5 years, and I swear I'm getting old. Like I went back for a tiny bit, and now I'm back in it again, and it's like it's so wonderful to be able to live in different places, experience new things. Like I'm in Paris right now. I get to have croissant every morning. Like could not be better, But then I have to leave on Thursday, and my whole schedule gets screwed up again. I know. There's definitely downsides because when you have to work, right? So people think oh, you're on vacation the whole time. You're not. Like you get to walk to that croissant and you get to see the sunset with the Eiffel Tower, but that's pretty much like the majority of the day. Still great.
So you're now in Paris. So
yes.
Now the nomadic life has taken you to Paris. You told me that you're moving to the UK, but like, okay, who's Veronica Hylak? Who is she? Like, tell us.
I am a huge product nerd. I love to just, I guess, I've been in product strategy for about 10 years. I've been in AI and ML for 6 to 7, starting in the US government side for AI drone ships, like basically unmanned surface vessels and autonomous mission systems, and came into the language industry completely organically through my mother, who many of you might know is Bridget Hylak, and she's the ATA Language Technology Division Administrator. She needed a piece of software for her business that me and my co-founder built in our free time, pro bono, on our nights while we worked for the government, and a lot of people needed it. So that's kind of like why I suddenly appeared onto the scene. It's been such a crazy journey thus far.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Some of the guests that come on the podcast are founders as well. I always tell them, I'm so jealous, guys. You guys have the guts to start something without knowing where it's going. You guys are able to leave your jobs and stuff like that. How do you do this? How do you do this?
There's like this saying that if you knew how hard it was, you wouldn't do it. It's very true. It's very true. There was a period of time where we were working our full-time jobs while building this full-time. So like we were sleeping 4 hours a day for like 1.5 years straight, and we were bootstrapped. So like we never got VC backing, like we never got funding. Everything was built from our own pockets, and therefore, we were very, very, very motivated to keep everything very low cost. So for a very long time, for example, our cloud bills were a joke because we had to be very strategic in how we built it because we were funding the whole thing. So yeah, I learned so much. Like if I had not done this experience, I feel like my career has taken like 40 steps forward in such a short amount of time, just because, especially being bootstrapped, you are forced to learn things very quickly. Like it's like adapt or die type situation. Yeah, so grateful for it, but I'm exhausted.
No, and I love you took the difficult path, or the more difficult path, so to say. Like they're not looking for VC, just like doing it on your by yourself on your. Because I have the feeling sometimes you talk to a lot of founders, especially in startups, and they always say like, "Hey, I'm looking for investors." I'm like, "Dude, do you have a product?" No, whatever. You talk to people and they're like, "Yeah." And I personally, I might be stupid, and I don't know if one day I'm going to do this and I'm going to have to look for investors. But for me, looking for investors before having a product and everything set up, I don't think it's good, because to me, it gives me the feeling that you're prioritizing already numbers than people. And some of the guests that come to the podcast, and I've shown real examples recently of founders who are thriving, who have a nice company, who are they want to grow, they have the growth mentality, but they prioritize the people, right? People before money. And so basically you set up the ground for that, right?
I come from a tech family. My brother, he worked for SpaceX, Google, Apple. He currently has a YC-backed startup. And I remember, Metalingually originally launched as a free beta. And I remember him sitting me down pretty early on. And he's like, great, you have all these users. That's fantastic and all. But you have to prove that people are willing to pay for it. So this is something that I feel like a lot of VC-backed kind of companies, they don't have the sense of urgency that we were forced to have. We had to make the right decision. We had to think through everything. We had to build things really quickly, because if we did not, we would die, right? And we didn't have this long runway of, in 6 months, maybe we'll re-raise because we didn't figure it out this time. No, if we didn't figure it out, it would affect my food budget, right? So it was those kinds of sense of urgencies. I think it forced me to learn so much. And if I were to do it again, I don't know if I would search for VC funding right away. I think I would come with a proof of concept with at least one user paying for it. Just one. I think that's all I need, not my mother, but one real user.
Sorry, the dog started barking, so we can. Chicas, ya, valió. Venga, sentadas ahí. Sorry.
No,
it sounds horrible. I'm sorry about that.
I have a dog in the other room, and I'm
Hi,
baby. Hi, baby. Priorities.
Sorry about that.
No. My dog's turning 9 on Sunday, and I'm like,
oh, these girls just turned 5. Both of them. They're like my girlfriend, but she leaves in the morning, and I spend so much time here with her. So anyway, sorry about that, my friend. We take it where we were saying, we were talking about how how you started, right? And then the proof of concept with the user, right? So we can take it from there.
Yeah, I was basically, if I were to start another startup again, I feel like I have learned literally probably 100+ mistakes to be a much better position than when I was building it, on my nights. But I don't know if I would get VC funding right off the bat for an idea. I think I hate the word vibe coding. I absolutely despise it. Please forgive me that I just said it. But you can vibe code a POC to show it and demonstrate this the vision of what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
Get one person to sign a contract with you. And then from there, I've proven that somebody wants to pay for it. Kind of start building from there. You have to validate with your end user too. That's one of the big mistakes I made.
In the podcast we spoke as well with I recently interviewed my good friend and industry father Renato Brinato, he's the definition of the salesperson. We were discussing here the problem that people have. The problem, I don't want to say the problem, the missed opportunity that people have when they do not consider sales as a daily thing. We are buying all the time, we're selling all the time, we are constantly doing transactions, right? And if you don't have that mentality or if you don't put that into work when you're starting a company, or you leave that first the money from investors, and that I'm not sure that's the right way to go, right? So
well, I think it's a shift in mentality that a lot of people have struggled to manage, because 15 years ago, if you had a really good product, the market would find you. But that's not the truth anymore. You can have a great product, marketing is more important than the product, to be honest, in some cases. And you have to find the market, which is a lot harder now.
And you've been you've developed over 40 products, if I'm not mistaken, right? And
I have. Pretty much every domain you can imagine. Pretty much every, from government to nonprofits to university financial systems to I worked for a consulting company for a while, and basically I would lead the development of 10 to 12 projects a year plus, if not more. So this concept of starting over, all you have is a paper napkin of somebody who has this idea and has no idea how tech works, and taking that all the way to a final launch is what I did over and over. And I actually really love that, because every 4, 5, 6 months you have to come up with a completely new way of doing things, adapt to a new industry. You have to become like a SME to like, or SME to like even figure out how to build for them. It's great. I loved it. It was fantastic.
That's very inspiring, Veronica. Like I really appreciate it. Now, 2022, boom, AI comes and changes our lives, right? And but I mean, for the way I follow you and for the way I've seen the way you work, I know you have this rare gift of making AI feel both human and practical. How do you do that?
A lot of crying. No, I'm kidding. No, again, I was in AI and ML before we called it that. Like we called it decision making software. That's what we called it before AI. But like, I mean, it was AI, but I felt like every day I would see the news and the information I knew was outdated, like the model frameworks, the if it was MOE model, if it was anything else, like it would completely change. There'd be something new. Now there's a Titan architecture, like, and I always felt outdated. I'm not a software developer. I've had to learn to be very technical through my position because I feel like product people, if you do not understand the underlying tech and what you need to build, then you're not going to build a very good product. Like it just, a lot of product people have this kind of surface level user experience kind of view on things. But again, being a founder or working with a small consulting company, you have to be very scrappy, which therefore means how you build it on the back end is as important as how you build it on the front end. So you have to really learn. So I kind of learned how to break down very technical concepts to be able to communicate them to stakeholders just as part of my day-to-day. And when AI came on and I felt like everything was outdated and I needed to keep up with the news myself, I started to consolidate, okay, like what are the top 5 updates for the week that are really important and everyone else is just, everything else can be forgotten. And to help myself understand, because again, I'm not a developer, I had to understand it in layman terms and then figured that a lot of people could probably benefit for this because AI is very scary for a lot of people. They don't understand how it works. And if they don't understand how it works, then they're not going to know how to apply it, right? And that's kind of, the biggest issue.
Yeah. So building all these products, introducing AI or humanizing AI, which is one of your goals. And you know what it made me think? You ended up mentioning one of the things that is, I don't know if it's killing the humanity or it's making us be not us. You mentioned that it's more important the marketing than the product itself. You think it's always been like this? And has there been a moment in which you faked confidence and thought, I have no clue what I'm coding here, but I'll figure that out later? I know it's a tough question, but
well, I think being in my position, a lot of times you start out with an idea or you have the end goal of what you want to solve, but you have no effing clue how you're going to get there. Like you just have no idea. So I can give an example. I was part of the Taos AI Revolutionary Contest in 2023, and I was selected to participate. I actually won the competition, but what I did is I built an AI POC for localization market expansion analysis, basically taking the black box of localization strategy and compressing into something that could change months or years of localization strategy that was guessing into a few minutes, leveraging AI in a lot of different ways. And when I started with that idea, I had literally no idea what I was doing. I was staring at the ceiling and I just was, I think for maybe 6 hours, questioning my life. I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? And I think that's just part of the process. Like you just have to kind of find each little tiny puzzle piece until you have them all. And yeah. I think that's just, it's very frustrating, but I'm actually helping my partner, I don't know, design a logo for his real estate business. And he wants it done like this. I'm like, that's not how this works. Like you have this and you figure out this and you figure out this and you figure out this. And then you figure out the whole picture in about a week, right? Otherwise you're just gonna get really frustrated. Like that's just kind of the process.
Yeah.
So
No, I get it. It's like, and that's another thing of the growth mentality. I think that it's there, like experiencing stuff like, I don't know, freaking idea what I'm doing, but I gotta get something done. And then by trial and error, you do it. And I'm trying to do the same, right? With the way I'm communicating with the world, with the localization industry, etc. Sometimes I like, this doesn't work, whatever. I have studied some stuff, but I'm trying to fake it till I make it. Take it that way, right? And it's working. So I think it's kind of attitude, right? So
No, I think I read this quote once, and it was basically, each small step will still get you to your goal, right? So they could be very, 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 very tiny steps. So like you don't need to have these huge steps in order to still accomplish the same thing. And every single day, it's allowed me to have a lot of grace with myself as have felt burned out in the past and everything else working. And just to know, okay, I took one step today. It was very small, but I took it. So at least we're not moving backwards. And,
yeah,
I
it's
use
super
that a lot.
interesting. It's interesting that you mentioned this because as a salesperson or a communicator in marketing, I don't know how to describe myself, but I've always like when I enter the corporate world of doing business, right, with especially with like enterprises, large enterprises, right, it's tends to be really frustrating. You talk to them today, and they
Mhm.
start working with you in 2027, and it's what it is there's no way of accelerating any of that.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, unless
it's
people
very
come to
long.
you, you're ready to buy today, and they still will take maybe instead of 2 years, 1 year. It's a very frustrating process that if you don't have the patience and the strength to do this, forget about it. Don't be a founder, don't be a salesperson, don't be. It's very complicated, right? And
Yeah.
I'm talking perhaps from a very limited perspective because I haven't been on the project management side or whatever, right? But that's my perspective. And what you mentioned right now about the small steps, it's a concept that I introduced in companies I work with these last 10 years. Is the micro win concept, right? Like it cherish and embrace those micro wins. Hey, the buyer sent me this message today. Let's share
Yep.
it.
Yep.
The client said this. We So this is all leaning towards that. I know it can sound a bit like the world of fantasy of and lollipops and whatever, but it counts.
Yeah,
I
no,
think
it
it
absolutely
counts.
does. I know and just being like on the builder side, we worked very closely being a kind of smaller shop with our clients directly, having feature requests and a lot of times they would seem so silly to us, like what they were asking. But when we implemented them, got them through, and like we saw their faces, it
Mhm.
was like the most beautiful thing. Like it just kept us going. And it was just such a small micro win. Like we added this one field or we added an auto expand box, like something super silly, but it like made their whole workflow better somehow. And I don't know, it was always so rewarding to see it. And they seemed so small, but they were
Trust the
larger.
micro win. Trust the micro win, right? Trust the micro
Yeah.
win. And I believe that's key in positions like yours in which you're a founder, etc. Right?
Yeah.
And now, Vero, you mentioned that you're transitioning into your next chapter, right? How does that feel? Like you're in a moment
I
of transition.
it feels very nerve-wracking and scary.
Tell me. I want to know. I love scary movies.
No. Well, I kind of mentioned I fell into metalinguists. It was not something we really expected to take off like it did. And we feel like we've built what we set out to build, and we couldn't have imagined the journey that it took us on. But I'm just recently feeling called to focus on building like something new way of looking how you do things, a moonshot project even. I just really want to take everything that I've fought through the mud to learn and apply it in a new environment. I'm just ready for something like a new challenge is kind of where I'm at now. No more
I wish
future
people had that
requests, but
attitude. I wish everyone listening had that attitude, and there's not so many of us that have it. So keep it up like that. For
I,
the
I think
moments of opportunity as well.
I told you backstage I am a concert pianist. I
Yeah.
think that's it's just the creative side of me like wants to create, and I understand like the business side. You have to be very efficient and like all these things, and I am all those things. But I really love creating, and I think that's I'm feeling just called to kind of go back to looking at something that no one's looking at and just
Yeah.
re-envisioning the whole thing. And yeah, I hope I get to do that soon. We'll see.
Yeah, and I'm sure you will succeed. Like you have the attitude. Sorry about that. You have the attitude. So, and
Thank
there's one thing that you mention often in when you talk online, and is that concept of transparent AI, right? What does that
you.
mean to you beyond buzzwords?
Oh, okay. If any of you guys that follow me are watching this, like I freaking hate buzzwords. I kind of like roll my eyes every single time I look at them. But I think transparent AI, what is important about it in my opinion, or how it should be implemented, is we need to understand why these systems are making the decisions that they are and be able to track the data lineage. Like right now, it's like it is a black box, and a lot of industries have black boxes. Like it's not just exclusive to LLMs, but like we have no idea where it's coming from. We have no idea why it's behaving a certain way. We have no idea why it's hallucinating. Like we can't like implement this in any sort of risk environment with that kind of protocol. I actually had read a case study of them testing AI ML. Again, I worked on the government side. They were testing it within the context of drone planes, I think, and hypothetically, they should have a human override button, and the AI got around the human override button to complete the mission. Mm-hmm. And basically, I guess, strike this one location. It was a drill, but even though the human person told them not to do that, and that's really concerning. Like we got to understand like why that happened, and there would be no explanation to that behavior right now, which is like that's what I think transparent AI is really important. We need to understand that data lineage.
So. And I always hear as well, I hear as well sometimes the term ethical AI. And how many times have you heard someone talk about transparent ethical AI and you knew they had no freaking idea what they were saying?
Yeah, it's I was just on a ethics panel literally last week with Renato and with Marina and two individuals from universities in Europe and Africa. And we had quite the argument in a good way, I think. Everyone looks at ethics a little differently. There's, of course, the ethic conversation about pricing, for example, for linguists, whose responsibility is it to make sure that it's a living wage, right? If the LSPs should be really educating their clients on the value of that human element, right? Like, because people think that AI and translation sometimes is a solved problem, especially in Silicon Valley. We all know that that's not true. We all know that's not true, right? But they don't have the education to understand that. So it's kind of like somebody has to take responsibility for that. That's an ethical question. Another ethical question, the training data, right? Another ethical question, who owns that output? And I'm really into copyright law. I was going to be a music copyright attorney, as I told you. So, I'm reading the copyright, like from the U.S. Copyright Office, especially since most of the models companies are based here. I'm reading the 100-page report finding from the U.S. Copyright Office on all these different things, and it's an interesting question that has not quite been answered, especially on the training side.
It's gonna be. I mean, we're in early stages of AI adoption for every aspect of life. I believe. Yeah. It's only 2025. This has been out there for a couple of years. Imagine in 2050 how this is going to be, right? It's good that we talk about it, that we start setting guidelines, etc., right? And when you talk about ethically, be real, right? And I was, since you're an expert in this field, I thought of also asking you, how can we avoid continuing building AI and being more disconnected from humans?
It's so funny. I study and research all of this. And if you ask Marina, for example, who I am, she thinks I'm extremely quiet, very shy, and I am in a lot of ways. And I would 100% be completely fine disconnecting for the rest of my life on a farm in the Highlands of Scotland. Totally fine.
It rains a lot there. Why don't you look for somewhere that is sunny?
No, I see a huge risk with that, but I honestly see the risk has already existed way before this AI wave. We are all addicted to social media. I have to literally lock my phone with this app called Opal so that I cannot touch it during 10 hours a day. We are addicted to our phones. We are addicted to looking at our phones. I had to delete email off my phone because I was checking it like nonstop. I think we already have surpassed that risk of disconnection. I don't think it's AI's fault, though. I think it's social media's fault. And email.
Yeah. I also did the social media detox. Like I did it. I went down in 2020 from being at 10 hours of use of my phone a day to 2-3 right now. It was crazy. Okay, I was alone as well. I was traveling, and I was like, okay, let's take a picture. Let's do this. I'm listening to music or whatever, right? But I saw the dependency, and I was like, this is crazy. Like, and I cut it. Like I checked yesterday. I got the report, which is Tuesday, and I got less than 3 hours of use a day.
I'm scared to look, but
Yeah.
I have had email deleted for 2 months now, and it has been the best decision I've ever made in my life
Yeah.
because I'm not checking it every 2 seconds and refreshing for an email that doesn't exist, you know?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah,
And
I think it's already here.
and I got a question like regard because we always like I try to invite individuals who have a really interesting journey to share and leaders, industry leaders, right? And since I have one of the voices of AI in the localization industry, I want to ask you. Uh, I always ask about leadership to my
Mhm.
to my guests. So I want to ask you, how do you see the impact of AI in leading in the next year? Like how is because now I follow football a lot, and now we're talking about introducing AI for some
Yeah,
referee selections or referee whatever, so that it's getting at to a point that is, as we've been speaking,
yeah.
risky, scary, whatever. But how is that going to impact leadership from your point of view?
I think I think the biggest struggle leadership is going to have is kind of keeping that human element. Like these are people's lives that are at stake. This is not just about. Sometimes it's not just about profits, right? Like it's about maximum efficiency, but it's also changing how people work. It's not just about eliminating their jobs and eliminating cost. I think in the US, especially, I've seen a huge exploitation of workforce. It's not just the translation industry. Like I'm seeing job postings asking for 60, 70, 80 hours of work a week. And there's no way that that's going to protect somebody's mental health. It's not going to protect their efficiency, even like their output will decline. So I think in a weird way, I think the biggest issue that leadership's going to really have is not trying to equate human work to AI, which they're different. And that's totally fine. You know what I mean? Like we're not trying to have the same output as an AI system. We're trying to have, the AI system help us to do 3 times the amount of work with, the same amount of time. So yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is like people are just seeing like AI, oh, I can't keep up with AI, I can't keep up with AI. I don't think that's the point. I don't think you're supposed to keep up with AI. You're just supposed to change how you work now.
Yeah,
So
and I believe leaders who do not embrace AI, which there
mhm.
are lots, believe it or not, there's lots of
Yeah,
will survive in 5 years. What do you think?
I think they're lying to you. I think anyone that will tell you that you can avoid implementing it into your life. It's not just translation industry. This is every industry. It's nothing personal. I think they're profiting off of people's fear, and I don't think they're helping you. So I was mentioning to Javier, I love hearing Gabriel speak because Gabriel will tell you what he believes is the truth, regardless of if it's going to make him popular or not. And people, he has people's best interest at heart. And my mother's very similar way. She's in a position, she has her best interest at heart, and we get hate for that a lot of times. But
In this
it's
company, colleagues are working for 10 years, or
yeah,
I mean, we're all in 30s, 40s, most of us,
mhm,
and people have been, and I've returned after first years.
yeah,
So yeah, that's, and also like I want to bring individuals like you, great people that have a story to tell, because I want to show and I want to make sure that people understand that out there's companies and there are leaders and there are individuals who prioritize wealth and people to money, and
yeah,
you're one of
yeah.
those.
Thank you.
So
I try to be, and like I know everyone. I talk about AI nonstop. I am researching it nonstop. And that's all great and fun, but I apply it very carefully within my own life. I apply it very carefully within my, consulting capacities. Like I'm very strategic because I think the success of AI systems are how reliable they are. Like that is ultimately the bottom line. And a lot of them are not. Like a lot of these AI agents are toys. Like they're never going to make it past the toy stage.
yeah.
And I actually I got asked to interview for a CPO position at a fintech AI startup in the UK, Series A, and they had been operating for 3 or 4 years. We were just talking about VC funding. They were VC funded by 2 of the largest banks in the UK. And I met with them, one of them being their chief AI scientist, and they were building this uh, industry-specific Fin LLM model. they had no idea what it was going to be used for. The data was not like well vetted, and they asked me in the interview, what would you use our model for? And I'm like, you like this is, it's the fact that you are so well funded and you don't have this answer is crazy to me, right? So a lot of AI is hype. It is, but it doesn't mean it's not a threat. So.
Vero, I love talking to you, and apologies if I call you Vero because my
Yeah.
sister-in-law is called Vero as well. And
No worries, I go by everything. Victoria, no, I'm kidding.
and I know we're professionals and we are millennials and we are this generation who has been bridging the world as it was and the world of the future that Gen Z is using right now and the next generations, right? We are at that kind of transitional generation. We have to learn probably and wake up from the dream that our parents told us we would live as well.
Yeah, I know,
right?
it's true.
It's what it is. It's what it is. And period. I've seen this. I've been through many stages, and I still think of that, right? And it's cool because there's a lot of us that are doing it and are making it. And now we millennials, we're in power. It's the time we're starting to get to be in power, right? And I appreciate talking to you. And my last question before I let you go is we're millennial. We're starting to be middle-aged people right now, right? That's so on paper.
No, those gray hairs on my head I'm disagreeing with you.
But it's life, and it's the beauty of life, right? Yeah. And hey, we're like so far. If you could describe your life with the title of a movie, existing or not existing, what would you say it is? If your journey had a movie title, what would it be? Mine, The Godfather 2.
Oh no. I think it would be something along the lines of I guess one step at a time is kind of where I'm at. My life is there's a lot of chaotic moments, a lot of painful moments, a lot of exciting moments, and as I kind of mentioned, I swear, as long as I can take one step forward every single day, I feel like, that's all I need to do. So that would be it.
Well, Veronica, thanks for being here. It's been great having you
Thank
here.
You so much.
Your experience, your views on AI. I think it's a conversation really worth looking at because it can inspire people. It can let people, our generation and other generations, know that there's a lot of opportunity out there in this moment. You're doing it. I am sort of doing it as well. Go get it, right?
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Veronica. And to all of our friends watching, until the next episode of Merging Minds. Bye. Peace.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.